Well, that is some cool, dramatic music, isn't it? I love that stuff. And do you know what? This machine has been a dramatic project, to say the least. Let me kind of zoom out a little bit. We'll take a real good look at this 1962 Viking Husqvarna 19E Special. Came to me from, well, it came to me in an interesting way. A customer from Williamsport, Indiana. Her first name is Cindy. Happened to find this machine for sale, and it was for sale down in the Madison, Wisconsin area. And she did a little bit of vetting herself, kind of asking questions about it based on some of the videos I presented on the machine. And once she was satisfied that it was a pretty solid machine, she said to the seller, okay, I'm going to buy it, but I don't want you to send it to me. I want you to send it to Scott up in Wisconsin, Oconto, Wisconsin, and I want you to send it to him first so he can go over the machine and make sure it's good to go. There was a little bit of a pause apparently, and then the person goes, okay. I don't know if that was an okay like, I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, Cindy, or if that was an okay like, oh crap. And that happens for people that will buy machines elsewhere and say to that seller, don't send it to me, send it to Scott's workshop in Wisconsin first. And apparently I've got a good enough reputation and I'm well enough known that for some people that's a sense of joy. I'll say it like Mark Twain said it best. Mark Twain said, we all have the ability to bring others joy, sometimes by walking into a room, sometimes by walking out. And I think I bring lots of people joy, but I also bring some people trepidation because they know the surgical approach I take with a machine, and they're going to go back. You know, I'm going to go back to that customer and tell them exactly what I found, so that if they ever contemplated the idea of buying from that seller again, it's either going to be a green light or it's going to be a red light. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell them just the way it is. And unfortunately for Cindy, the seller out of Madison, Wisconsin was not completely upfront about the issues with this machine. So there was quite a bit I had to do to it, all the way from balance wheel to bobbin. Also, there were some things that were kind of promised that would be included with it that weren't included, such as the beautiful extension bed you see on the machine right now, which Cindy, when I explained that I had a couple of extra extension beds in the workshop, said, I really, 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 really want one. And my daughter gave me a very generous Easter gift. And so I'm going to use that money that she gave me and said, Mom, get whatever you want, and I'm going to get the rest of the things done on the machine that should have been done in the first place, and I'm going to get that extension bed. So she's got a beautiful, beautiful Swedish beauty now that is absolutely going to be the cat's meow when it gets down to Williamsport, Indiana. And some of you may remember, or you may not, my family roots are going back to Indiana as well. My dad grew up in the Morocco, Rensselaer area, not too far from Chicago. Kind of always passed through Chicago when I would go down there to see my grandparents. And so as soon as Cindy reached out and she said that she was a Hoosier, that she was from the great state of Indiana, right away I was like, yeah, I love those people. A lot of great memories tied to that state, and going down to see Grandma and Grandpa and traveling down there with Mom and Dad. And just what a great state that is. So here we have a Viking Husqvarna 19E Special that Cindy bought from a gentleman out of Madison, Wisconsin, that eventually made it to the workshop and now is going to be premiered and then will go on its pilgrimage back to that great Hoosier state of Indiana, where Cindy is excitedly waiting for it to show up. Excitedly. And, you know, she's got other machines for sure. She's got a real nice little collection, but there's just nothing like a Swedish Beauty, is there? There's just something magical, something special, especially after it's been on the workbench and spent some time in the workshop and it's gotten its spa day and it's ready to get the job done. So without any more blah, 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 let's zoom down. And if you're not familiar with the 19E Special, you don't have to put any cams inside of this machine. On the rear of the machine, and I don't know with that extension bed that I'd be able to turn it very easily, but after we're done doing our sew-offs and stuff, I'll see if I can come off the tripod, let you look at the back of the machine, see how that cam selector is kind of changed from one to another, and then you can really gain an appreciation for why this is called a 19E Special. In my opinion, it's called a 19E Special because you don't have to put any cams in this machine. They're already engineered into this Viking Husqvarna. And not to mention, it's got the original Husqvarna motor as well, 1 amp of absolute raw, put on your seatbelt power, and a number of other great features like that jam-free raceway, and the list goes on. And you may have seen in the Facebook shots. If you haven't, I'm going to try to pop over to Facebook as well because I got some feedback the last couple of premieres I did. I didn't show you the progress shots off of Facebook, and a lot of my YouTube friends, they don't do the Facebook thing. They just don't. And so they were like, hey, we didn't see the progress shot. So I'm going to try to reconcile that again and bring Facebook and bring YouTube together. Credible partnership between those two venues of being able to show things in action. And now Facebook is doing a lot of videos as well. So who knows, maybe I'll start featuring some stuff on Facebook videos as well. They already reached out to me and said, hey, what do you think? So I'm going to see if I can start doing that as well. So let's do this. Let's zoom down to the needle, and then I'll walk you around the machine later, kind of talk about a couple more things. See if we can let you listen to this machine, let you see it do some stitching, and just really gain an appreciation for why a Swedish Beauty is a Swedish Beauty. And I mentioned 1962 for this machine. That was kind of the beginnings of the 19E Special type series, the 1960s. And I won't share a lot of details about that, but let me real quick before I launch into this sew-off, because otherwise I'm totally going to forget. Let me share a little bit, because I haven't done it for a while. Let me share a little bit about the Husqvarna Viking company, because you really need to appreciate just the amount of time that this company has been around. And my friend Hans Christian, who, as most of you know by now, I've mentioned him numerous times in premieres. He's my moderator, one of my 2 moderators on Facebook, and he is from the great country of Norway. And doggone it, that guy is so close to Sweden, he can pop over there anytime he wants, and has done it, and has told me about it. Yeah, I'm going to drive over to Sweden and pick up a couple of machines, Scott. Oh yeah, really, Hank? Really, Hans? Well, I hope your car breaks down, man. I really do. I hope it breaks down so you can't drive over into Sweden and pick up another machine. Doggone it. But you know what? I never would wish it on Hans. Wonderful guy. Has been such a wonderful resource, as many of you know, on Facebook, and answering questions and doing research for customers, as has Bill on Florida as well. These men are absolutely fabulous. And I've got room for others. If there's some lady out there, or another man for that matter, that says, yeah, man, I would love to be behind the scenes and be a resource with my experience and knowledge and be able to answer questions for people that come to your Facebook business page, Scott, like Hans and Bill. I would love the chance to do that. Well, stop just wishing about it. Reach out to me and let's talk about it. Let's see what the possibilities are. I'll probably have you have a little bit of a dialogue with Hans as well and Bill. Let them, kind of get a feeling for you, because you 3 moderators would then be working in collaboration together. And I know that Bill and Hans, they just fit like cogs in a wheel, man. They're perfect. So they're going to be a little bit cautious about this next moderator that could come on board. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. So don't be hesitant. Step forward and throw your hat in the ring and let's see what happens. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. So we've got to go all the way back to 1620. 1620, when the King of Sweden, Gustavus Adolphus, decreed a drilling and grinding plant for musket barrels to be based in Jönköping. That's the best I can pronounce it. Why don't we just say Husqvarna? And originally, the factory was going to be based there, and then they kind of moved it towards Husqvarna, okay? But that was the birthplace. That was the beginnings of the Husqvarna Viking sewing machine company. You got to go all the way back to 1620. And many, 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 many years later, right around 1962, Cindy's 19E Special came out of the scene and started strutting its stuff as well with that incredible Swedish pride. So let's see what that looks like now down at the needle. So the first thing I'm going to sew off on, why don't we start with elk hide? I sometimes leave elk hide kind of waiting and waiting and waiting in the wings. And I better turn on a couple more lights as well. That might be helpful, huh? I always leave elk hide kind of waiting in the wings, and I don't think that's fair. I think it's a great material to sew on. I'm going to start with a single layer, and I'm probably going to do one of the cam generated stitches. I believe that I've got it set right now. I'd have to lean over the machine, so I'm just going to go on faith. I believe I have it set on kind of a zigzag modified 3-point stitch right now, which I think is really cool. So let's buzz down a single layer of this genuine elk hide. And if you're new to this channel, or if this is the first time you've watched a premiere and you haven't seen this stuff sewn before, take a look from the side what we're going to be sewing. Hopefully you can see that, both on the left and where my fingers are. We're talking about 4 ounces of genuine elk hide. And elk hide, if any of you are familiar with it, already know that it's chemically processed. And as soon as you chemically process an animal hide, it raises the piercing threshold on that hide through the roof. So we are not only sewing about 4 ounces of genuine elk hide, but with it being chemically processed, it's probably the equivalent of at least 6 to 8 ounces of genuine cowhide. It's the thick of thick. So let's see how this Husqvarna Viking 19E Special does with a task as tough as this. All right, you ready? Here we go. Oh, I see what I did. Oh my gosh. I zeroed out the stitch width, so we just sewed a straight stitch. Oh boy. Okay, well that's okay. I was probably going to do a straight stitch anyway on this genuine elk hide, so that's all well and good. No worries, no worries. All right, so let me clip these threads. Oh, I love live premieres. I can show, for any of you that follow me and really are fans, and you're going, man, that guy is like perfect. Just watch a couple of premieres and all of a sudden you discover perfection takes on a new form of fallibility when you're shooting a live premiere in front of a camera, and all kinds of stuff can go wrong. Just a recent premiere, I was going to change the needle out on camera and knocked needles all over the workbench. Boy, that was a hoot. So we'll look at these real quick before I do the stitch I intended to do. Beautiful stitching all the way across. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. Otherwise we're going to zoom in on these anyway at the end. But let me see if I can Oh wow, I'm actually figuring this thing out. I went the correct direction. Who knew? All right. So here's our straight stitch, which was not supposed to be a straight stitch. But that's okay. And it's absolutely perfect. The spacing, the formation is just absolutely spot on in every respect. I'm trying to see if I'm in the right spot. Okay. So absolutely gorgeous straight stitch. And if we turn it over, I love the nap on this elk hide because you can actually see the stitching better than any of the other leathers that I sew. And there you can see an absolute perfect straight stitch in every respect. It's absolutely just spot on. Gorgeous stitching from start to finish. And I'm noticing too that my camera is set a little bit lower than usual. So let me make a quick change there. And then we're going to launch into this next sew off that I had intended to do in the first place. I had this camera up a little bit higher and I kind of lowered it because I thought, oh, that's too high. But it actually isn't. It actually makes it a little bit easier sometimes to see what's happening down at the needle. All right, let me lock it in place. Now let's do the stitch that I planned to do the first time on Cindy's 19E Special. That's very soon going to be heading back to the great state of Indiana. And let's see how this 19E Special does. As soon as I've mentioned it several times recently, but I'm going to mention it again in case you're new to this channel, in case you're new to premieres. As soon as you incorporate needle swing into a sew-off, you're right away pushing the threshold of that needle being able to pierce that material up substantially. And that's what we're doing now. So let's see how Cindy's machine does on about 4 ounces of chemically processed, genuine elk hide, doing this 3-point zigzag modified stitch. All right, here we go. I took that way too slow. I mean, if you had seen my little foot down on the really cool speed style foot controller, that is, you know, the original foot controller for the Husqvarna Viking green machines and that, you'd be like, holy cow, the guy's barely pushing it. But there's just no difficulty on the part of Cindy's machine to get the job done. It just does it so effortlessly, as do all of the machines that are on my workbenches that I premiere. And that really is a goal, is to optimize them to that point where they get the job done and it's just ridiculously easy. Get this all set up for the next sew-off. Okay, so here's our what I'm calling a 3-point modified zigzag stitch. I'm hoping you can see it because it's absolutely gorgeous. And the spacing, the formation is exactly as we want to see it. Exactly as we want to see it. Just absolutely breathtaking. A little bit hard to see with this light green, but I really had to pick the light green thread because of the paint patina on this 19E Special. And then as we turn it over, let's look at the lock stitch. There's just there's lint is what there is. There's just no difference when it comes to the beauty of that lock stitch. The spacing, the formation, the presentation of that stitch is exactly as we want to see it. There's just no difference. Again, if this leather were identical on both sides, your goal, if you have a machine that is just sewing at the top of its game, you shouldn't be able to distinguish the top from the lock stitch. But on most machines that are not serviced properly, that are not restored, that are not optimized, you can right away tell which stitch is the lock stitch, because it's usually going to be one that just doesn't look right. It's not popping, it's not gorgeous, but this one absolutely is. So I'm really pleased with that as well. And I don't know why I cut such a big piece, but it's just doing a fabulous job. I know why I did it. I guess I could have tried to fold it, but I think it's maybe I'm a little bit late in the game to do that. Maybe I'll grab another piece of leather and do that, but I'm going to throw this to the side right now. A single layer of genuine elk hide, an absolute pass on the part of Cindy's 19E Special. All right, so what am I going to sew next? Maybe I'll jump over to some of my U.S. Army grade canvas. I just love this stuff. Y'all know that already. I just love my U.S. Army grade canvas. So I'm starting with kind of 2 layers. See that? 2 layers right there? And let me decide how I'm going to fold this now. Maybe I'll do a short run. Although I'd love to do a long run. I really would. Let me see here. So if I go this way, I've got 2 layers. Yeah, I can get it up to 6. I'm not going to be able to fold it to get it all the way up to my 8 layers, but even 6 layers. Let me do that one more time. I'm going to look at crooked here. So let's see, 2. I mean, I could try to go real narrow. Boy, that'd be a hoot. Let me see if I can do that. 2, 4, 6. Oh yeah, I can do it. Look at me. Am I a fabric origami artist or what? So there's 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. Let me see if I can get that underneath the presser foot. I'm quite sure I can. The grain machines notoriously have very, very good presser foot clearance. That is pretty tight though, I'll tell you that right now. That's a little snug bug there. But let's see what we can get done. So I'm gonna get that into position, get that presser foot down. And I might open my faceplate and just increase that presser foot pressure just a little bit. Do all of you know how to adjust presser foot pressure on a grain machine like this? Otherwise, remind me in the chat when we do the off the tripod thing, and I'll take you into the faceplate area and you can take a look and see what I do. Just give me a second here. Well, I hope you folks are doing well. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a veteran and you've been coming to the channel forever, I really appreciate your loyal following and your dedication to what I do. And you know, it's a pleasure and honor to be a part of and I'm having to stand up here real quick because give me just a second here, folks. That little disc in there that you have to turn to adjust presser foot pressure, it's a little bit hard on your fingers. It really is. And when I'm cranking that puppy, you got to get just the right grip on it to get it to turn the way you want it to turn. All right, I think I got it. No guarantees here, folks. So let's see how Cindy's machine does with 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. Again, it's a little bit snug underneath that presser foot, so let's see how we do. Here we go. Well, I think we sewed it. It kind of got it done a little bit too easy. And I'm always looking to challenge these machines. I really am, but usually they just kind of laugh at me, to be honest with you. They just kind of laugh at me when I give what I think is a good challenge, and they're like, yeah, try again, Scott, try again. Remember, you're the one that worked on this for 8, maybe close to 10 hours, and you gave us all of that power back that we didn't have. So yeah, good luck with that, Scott. Good luck challenging us. So there's our, what I think is a way cool stitch that's built into this 19E Special. I'm going to call it kind of a 3-point modified zigzag. And it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous, isn't it? I just love it. I love this stitch a lot. Oh, there's a better angle. I'm trying to look at the way the camera's aligned and get it turned so that you can see things better. And this is a much better angle, so I need to remember that for the other sew-offs as well. But isn't that a beautiful stitch? The spacing, the formation, the integrity of that stitch is just absolutely spot on in every respect. And as we turn it around, before I show you the lock stitch, look at the thickness of what we just sewed. Here, I'll turn it like this as well. 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas, and there is nothing easy peasy about that at all. And yet here we go now, looking at the lock stitch, and I'm actually going to start over here. And everything about that lock stitch is just spot on, just like the top stitch. Again, you know, if you didn't know one side from the other, you'd have a heck of a time distinguishing which is which is exactly the goal that I aim for every single time, because I want those stitches to look as identical as they possibly can. So an absolute beautiful job on the part of this 19E Special with both this lock stitch and this top stitch as well. And again, we're talking 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas, folks. If you have a 19E Special, give that a try on your machine. And then watch my packing video and send it to the workshop so I can help get your machine to the top of its game so that it can sew like Cindy's machine is right now. Because I'll tell you one thing, this 19 Special is just making every single sew off look just so doggone easy. Just makes it look so easy, it's ridiculous. I'm kind of wiping off her machine real quick. I'm real persnickety about any machine, but especially when and I am really remiss here, especially when I am in the presence, of the King of Sweden. And if you didn't notice him, very quietly and very patiently and very regally standing in the back, patiently keeping an eye on every single thing that I'm doing. And I have no doubt that I'm going to hear about the fact that I talked about doing a zigzag and I did a straight stitch. But you know what, Your Majesty? It happens. It really does. So, all right, let's get back to doing some more sew-offs. And give me a second. I'm going to put on a little bit of music, and I'm going to grab some more leather because I think I only prepared that elk hide, and I'd love to do some more leather sewing for you. All right, let's see what I got here. Yeah, that'll work. And I'll come out on this shot while I'm getting that leather prepared real quick, so you can admire Cindy's incredible 19E Special. And again, if you're new to this channel and you're saying, holy cow, this is the first time I've seen one of these green machines with that long bed on. It's like a long arm quilting machine. It really is. And I actually, a while back, probably a couple years back, put a long bed quilting machine next to a Husqvarna Viking green machine like this. Man, oh man. The king even stood up higher and prouder that day because he was like, look at the length of my workspace on my vintage Husqvarna Viking green machine compared to that long arm quilting machine that they're selling for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Remember that, Your Majesty? Yep, he does. He remembers that. Because that was a day where, for all of the folks that follow me also that have the contemporary machines, they were like, wow, I spent $8,000 on this long arm quilter, and I could have gotten from Scott a Husqvarna Viking green machine with that long bed for so much less. So much less. All right. And I didn't get the leather cut because I'm blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see what we have here. I just want to I think I'll grab some genuine cowhide real quick, and we'll do some genuine cowhide with Cindy's machine as well, because I really want to do some more leather sewing on this machine so you can just see how beautifully it sews leather. I know a lot of my customers over the years that have gotten Husqvarna Viking green machines from me, or have purchased them and then sent them to the workshop to be serviced. They just absolutely love sewing leather with their Vikings and their Viking Husqvarnas. Okay, I think I cut that a little bit small, but I think it'll get the job done for us. I hope it does. Let's see if I can fold this. Yeah, I should be able to get 3 layers out of that easily enough. Okay, thanks for your patience as I'm distracted. Like I said, I'm kind of like a 9-year-old. Probably why I get along with kids, little kids, so well. And I enjoy being around them so much because I'm a lot like them. You probably see that in my videos when I break out into dancing or whatever like that. I just don't care. I don't have any of the inhibitions that most adults do. And I think many of you are the same way. You're wired the same way, where you get to a certain point in your life and you just don't worry as much about what people think, and you just want to have fun. And eventually, even those dry, stoic people, and I was chatting with a wonderful lady from Mississippi yesterday, and she and I were talking about this. Lori and I were talking about this, and just talking about as you get older, you just don't worry about it as much, and I think that's absolutely so true. All right. So, without further ado, as I really kind of drug out this transition of getting more leather cut, let me see if I can fold, and we'll just go right into this. Let me see if I can fold this genuine cowhide. Let's go ahead and do 3 layers. I could go much higher than this with this 19E special. And I've had a question come up before that I should probably mention, just because, you know, that way if folks see this premiere and they've got the same question, they're not going to send me the same question again, which I don't mind. I mean, I answer that, or Hans answers it, or Bill answers it, and that's all well and good. But when a Husqvarna Viking green machine is properly optimized, the way I do it in my workshop, you are not going to see a noticeable difference in the way that machine performs between a 1 amp motor and a 1.5 amp motor. You're not going to see a huge difference. And I've had that come up several times. And I even had, I think when I posted the Facebook shots of Cindy's machine, when I posted the Facebook shots of Cindy's machine, a lady popped in and obviously loves her Husqvarna Viking green machine, and she said, I've got a 19E special and it's 1.5 amps. They did make some 1.5 amps, and coming right out of the factory, there may be a slight edge because you are talking about 0.5 of an amp more than a 1 amp motor. But I'm telling you one thing, after I go through a vintage machine and I optimize that motor and foot controller, you're going to be hard pressed to say that 1.5 amp motor has an edge over that 1 amp motor. You really are. So I just wanted to mention that because that comes up quite often, and I want folks to understand, if their machine is running at the top of their game, they don't have to be fearful about going head to head with their 1 amp motor against a 1.5 amp motor. They just don't need to be concerned about it. They don't. So here we have 3 layers of genuine cowhide. I'm going to bring this light in a little bit. We're talking about probably 10 ounces of leather, I would say conservatively. And we're going to see how Cindy's machine does. And I love that 3-point stitch. So I'm going to stick with that for now. And we'll go ahead and lay down a 3-point stitch down the middle of these 3 layers of genuine cowhide. All right, you ready? Of course you're ready. You're saying, we've been ready, buddy. We've been patiently waiting on you. All right, here we go. I had to throttle it just a little bit. I was probably at about 30% on that foot controller. About 30%. I'm not making it up, folks. There's a lot more get up and go left on Cindy's machine. A lot more get up and go on her 1 amp motor, by the way. Not a 1.5 amp motor, 1 amp motor. And it's got, you better put your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on. If you're gonna operate this machine, put your seatbelt on and don't text and sew. Don't text and sew. All right? Oh man, it's one of those days. It's one of those days. All right. So here's our 3-point stitch. And I didn't even show you from the side. 3 layers of genuine cowhide. You can see it yourself with your own eyes. Let me turn it all the way around. You can look at the other end as well. 3 layers of genuine cowhide. 8 to 10 ounces of leather. The thick of thick. And you just saw this 19E Special with its 1 amp motor mow through this stuff like it was a light cotton. And look at the stitching on that. The spacing, the formation. Oh, there's my angle. The stitching, the spacing, the formation, the presentation of that stitch. It just doesn't get any better than that, folks. It just doesn't get any better than that. It's absolutely drop dead gorgeous in every respect. Now, as we turn it around to the lock stitch, are you going to see something dramatically different? No, you're not. You're going to see a lock stitch, and there's our lock stitch right there. I'm just kind of bending the leather back a little bit real quick. There's our lock stitch right there through 3 layers of genuine cowhide, and there's just no difference whatsoever. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of that stitch, well, there I am. The integrity of the stitch is just exactly as it should be. I'm kind of leaning towards the camera, just making sure I've got the right angle. I mean, that is the type of stitching that you want to get from a machine, that you expect to get from a machine that's been in this workshop. That's our lock stitch, folks. Why do I emphasize that's our lock stitch? Because when you're sewing the top stitch this side, when you're sewing the top stitch this side, you've got gravity working on your side as that needle is coming down and piercing through that 3 layers of genuine cowhide. You've got the benefit of gravity. You've got the downward momentum, the kinetic energy of that needle going through those layers in a downward fashion, piercing through that leather. When you're coming the other direction, you don't have that benefit because that thread needs to get pulled all the way back through those 3 layers of genuine cowhide, and gravity is working against you. You don't have the benefit of kinetic energy, and yet, you know what? You don't need it because this machine has been on this workbench, and I've spent 6 to 8 hours on it. Again, if you go to your local sewing center, how long are they going to spend on your machine after they get done writing out a bill to you for probably 100 to 150 bucks? About 45 minutes. 45 minutes versus 6 to 8 hours. That's how you can get, am I making you dizzy? That's how you can get a lock stitch of this caliber through this many layers of genuine cowhide. Again, look at that. Because of the amount of time that I invest in every single machine that's on this workbench. And that's why these machines, that's why Cindy's machine can get this done just like a blink. And I joke sometimes, are we done already? Is that it? Really? It's a definite pass for Cindy's 19E Special through these 3 layers of genuine cowhide. How easy was that? How doggone easy was that? Yes, I'm wiping it off again. Hush. All right, what do we have left? I'm trying to figure out. Let's do some compressed felt. Let's do some compressed felt. If you're a regular follower, you've seen me do this a number of times recently on premieres. Compressed felt, as you saw in that one sew off, is not an easy material to get through. It actually snapped a needle. And it'll do that because of the weave of this stuff, the tight weave of this compressed felt, and then the way they process it, pushing all of those fibers together with so much force. it's almost like creating a little cement patty. And going through a single layer of this would be pretty doggone impressive. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for a machine on this channel. We're going to do 3 layers. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it in the middle point right there. I'm going to go ahead and fold it again. And now we're up to 3 layers of this compressed felt. Can you see that okay? You know, that's the equivalent of about 8 to 10 ounces. So let's get it underneath the presser foot and see how Cindy's machine does with a task as difficult as this. Actually, more difficult is me being able to fold the silly thing, but I'm giving it a try. And also, because of that fibery nature of it, it's kind of grabbing the feed dogs and making it more difficult for me to get it into position. So give me a little bit of patience here as I try to do that. And I've got it offset here to the side because I might decide to buzz down the other side and lay down a straight stitch as well. Alright, so 3 layers of compressed felt, about 8 to 10 ounces. And let's see how Cindy's machine does with this task. It's made everything else look easy. Let's see if it can make this look easy as well. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I would classify that as easy. I almost want to do it like the Office, whatever that is. Is it Office Max or Office whatever? That was easy. It makes every single sew-off so far just look like it's a walk in the park. And those of you that watch this channel faithfully probably are saying, but all of the machines that you present make it look easy. That's my goal. I want it to look easy. I want it to just give you a sense of, don't be daunted. Don't be daunted by any task. Now I'm going to have to pull these back a little bit. So here's our 3 layers. Again, look at it from the side. Here, let me do it like this. Our 3 layers of compressed felt. And now I'm totally turned around. This should be the top stitch, I believe. There's our top stitch. Let me come in on that a little bit. Come in a little bit closer. Come on, camera. Thank you. There we go. Let me get the right angle here. There we go. There we go. I think I got her now. So there's our stitching right there. I'm going to kind of go across and pull it back as I go. Absolutely perfect stitches all the way across. I'm trying to get the right angle here, folks. Absolutely perfect stitching all the way across for this 19E special through 3 layers of compressed felt. There's just no difference as you go across. The machine doesn't miss a beat. I might miss a beat when I'm trying to line it up though. Let me just go across because I'm not doing any service here trying to get this pull back and keep it lined up as I'm doing that and all that. You can just see how beautiful those stitches are, can't you? So let's turn it around and see if there's any difference on that lock stitch. But first of all, look at it from the side. Yeah, pretty much crazy, isn't it? So here's our lock stitch now, which I'm going to bend this back and then just kind of go across so I don't make you dizzy as I'm trying to get it lined up correctly. No difference at all with that lock stitch. Just absolutely spot on. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, the presentation of the stitch, the glory of the stitch. I almost want to sing like the da 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 da. We're at the graduation here for this 19E special. Da 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 da. You get the idea. Absolutely gorgeous stitching, and we'll look at these closer at the end when we end up doing the off the tripod thingy. But those are just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It's easier if I kind of look over my shoulder, although I'm probably going to get dizzy. Yeah. So the 3 layers of compressed felt that we just did
on Cindy's 19E Special. Let me go like that because it looks like it's smiling at you. The 3 layers of compressed felt on Cindy's 19E Special, a definite pass. All right, so let me throw that. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Let me come onto this shot a little bit. Duh. There we go. I was going to buzz down the other side with a straight stitch. See that? I start getting all goofy and singing the graduation song and stuff, and then you're like, hey, wasn't he going to do a straight stitch? Yeah, I was. So let me get that into position as best as I'm able. And let's buzz down with a straight stitch as well. All right, you ready? Here we go. That was about 35% of the power. 35%, right around 35%, I would guess. Yeah. I know. Put your safety goggles on, your seatbelt, because Cindy's 19E Special, it's got power through the roof. Power through the roof, folks. All right, let's take a look at this straight stitch that I almost forgot to do. I have no idea I think this is our top stitch. No, it isn't. That's our lock stitch. So here's our top stitch. Absolutely perfect in every respect. Let me see if I can zoom in on these a little bit. Here we go. So here's our top stitch. Spacing. Where am I? Spacing, formation. Absolutely picture perfect. Kind of pulling it back because, again, this stuff is woven and it's going to mask that stitch just a little bit. Start to finish, there's just no difference. That stitch is just absolutely spot on in every respect. Now I'll try doing it without pulling it back. Here, I'll turn it right side up, upside down, see if that helps a little bit. Where am I? Where the heck am I? There we go. Well, you're going to see these at the end anyway. If I can't get the right angle, you'll see them at the end. I think you can see those okay. Absolutely perfect spacing, formation. Absolutely spot on. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want. Aren't those gorgeous? Then we turn it around. Now we're looking at our lock stitch, finally. I'm kind of bending this back. This stuff, if you feel it with your own fingers, and I always send all the sew-offs that I do, the confirmation sew-offs that I do on the premieres to the customer so they can actually hold them in their own little hands, and if they want to zoom down and do the same thing that they saw me do on camera, they can do that. And many of them have, which I think is really way cool. So here's our top stitch that we just did, excuse me, our lock stitch for our straight stitch that almost wasn't happening. And it's absolutely gorgeous. You can see it. Spacing, formation, presentation of the stitch. The glory of the stitch is exactly as it should be. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I'm admiring that 3-point zigzag on the bottom again as well. Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, so I can declare again for the second time, these 3 layers of compressed felt, where am I? These 3 layers of compressed felt are an absolute pass. All right. All right, thanks for helping, thanks for being the extended memory for myself, because I sometimes I'll get excited and I'm going to be going ahead doing something else, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, I forgot to do, you can fill in the blank. Yes, I'm wiping it off again. All right, so what else do we have left? I've got some, it looks like a kind of a cotton polyester blend. That's kind of neat looking stuff, isn't it? Use that to cover furniture and stuff like that. And what was I going to do with this? Maybe I'm going to do multiple layers or something. I just think this is cool looking stuff. I really do. I wouldn't mind having a couch covered in this, although most of you folks out there, especially you ladies, are saying never cover a couch in something like that because it's going to get dirty so quick. You're right. So we're starting with 2 layers. I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half. We're up to 4 layers. I'm going to fold it again, and we're all the way up to 8 layers of this cotton polyester blend. And those of you that sew a lot of cottons or cotton polyester blends, you already know that this is not an easy task. This stuff is slickery. It tends to try to manipulate the needle. It tries to goof around with getting past the feed dogs without being fed evenly. So let's see how Cindy's machine does with this, because it is not an easy task. All right, underneath the presser foot, and let's see if we can go down one end and then we'll come back the other. All right, so what do I want to do? Do I want to go back to my 3-point? Do y'all like that 3-point stitch? I do. Let's lay down a 3-point modified zigzag on this cotton polyester, and then we'll come back the other way. Maybe we'll lay down, I don't know, maybe we'll lay down a blind hem stitch. Who knows? All right, here we go. 8 layers of cotton polyester. Here we go. Not even close to max power, folks. Not even remotely close. That's probably about 30%. About 30%, yeah. Yep. I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, let's give these threads a clip. Now this is almost a mint green thread against kind of a whiter, I guess it'd almost be like an eggshell color cotton polyester blend. So we're going to do our best, and if we can't see enough of it, then we'll zoom in at the end and we'll look at them then, okay? Matter of fact, let me zoom in a little bit right now. There we go. So I believe, let me see. Yeah, this is our top stitch. We can see that or not. Yeah, let's go over here. There we go. Yeah, we can see that. Yay. Yay. Okay, so there's our top stitch. I'm going to kind of pull it back as I go down a little bit. Spacing the formation exactly as we want to see it. Just absolutely perfect stitch definition in every respect. Just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And as we turn it over, let's see if we can look at it like that. There's our 8 layers. Where are we? There's our 8 layers of this cotton polyester blend. No easy task. And as we look at that lock stitch, let me turn it like this. There's just no difference. That lock stitch is absolutely, where am I? There I am. That lock stitch is just absolutely spot on in every respect. From start to finish, there's just no beat missed for this 19E special. Let me bring that light in a little bit more. There's just no beat missed with this 19E special. Just gorgeous stitching from start to finish. And again, look at it from the side, folks, to give you an appreciation for what we just buzzed through with about 30% power. So this, these 8 layers of cotton polyester blend are an absolute pass. Let me do this. Let me go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. And I'm going to change the cam setting to something different. I'm saying something different because I have no idea what I'm going to change it to yet. Yeah, I mentioned blind hem, didn't I? I mentioned blind hem. Let's do a blind hem going down. Let's do that for fun. Okay, so we're going to do a blind hem stitch now going down, and we'll see how Cindy's 19E special does with this. And again, we're doing 8 layers of polyester blend. Okay, I hear you chiming. You might even be typing into the chat. I'm not looking. But you might even be typing in the chat, Scott, can you give it a little bit more gas going down? Okay, I'll take it up to about 50%, just to make you happy, because your happiness means something to me. It really does. All right? All right. Yeah, I'm being goofy, I know. All right, so here goes about 50% power, about 50%, doing a blind hem stitch. I think that's what I have it set on. And 8 layers of cotton polyester blend. Here we go. Wow, that was tough. Did you hear it struggle? You heard it kind of grinding and moaning and groaning and going, I don't think I can make it. Not even close. It kind of was chuckling. I heard it chuckling. Did anyone else hear the machine chuckling about saying, yeah, blind hem stitch, 8 layers, big deal. Big deal, buddy. If that was supposed to intimidate us, it's not working. Not working. All right, so here's our blind hem right here. I'm going to pull this back as best as I can and give you an opportunity to see this stitching as well. Yeah, I'll bring this other light in as well. That probably will help a little bit. So there's our blind hem on the bottom. You can kind of see here. Let me zoom in again. There's our blind hem on the bottom, the one we just sewed. And just from start to finish, absolutely gorgeous stitching. Actually, I'll kind of do like this. That way you can see both at the same time. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. Spacing, formation, integrity of the stitch, presentation of the stitch, the glory of the stitch. Exactly as we want to see it. Just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Isn't it? Beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching. I think I'm going crooked all of a sudden. I'm going uphill. I'm going uphill. Ah. All right. So let's turn it around and see if we see anything different with that lock stitch. Ooh, I almost made it kind of, the way I sewed those two, you see how it's kind of quilted in the, it's puffed up and kind of quilted in the middle? Aha! That was not planned, but it's cool nonetheless. Okay, let's start over here. So there's our blind hem on the bottom, there's our 3-point on the top, and this is our lock stitch that we're looking at now. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Beautiful stitching. Every respect. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, presentation of the stitch is just absolutely as it should be. Again, the goal is to have that top stitch and that lock stitch mirror and match each other so they're indistinguishable. And we definitely succeeded in that with these 8 layers of cotton polyester blend. So a definite pass on these 8 layers. Again, look at it kind of from the side. 8 layers of cotton polyester. No challenge at all for this 19E special. And again, 1 amp motor, not 1.5, 1 amp motor. And we went up to, I was aiming for 50%, but it went through it with such ease. I probably got up to about 40% power. I tried. I did too good of a job on Cindy's machine, and it's running too efficiently, it's too optimized, and you better have a strip of material that's probably about 8 feet long if you're hoping to hit 100% motor power. I'm just saying it. You better have it. It better be at least 8 feet long. All right. Okay. All right. So now I've got this stretchy. Wait, I'm too close. Sorry. Oh, I'm closer. I got this stretchy. It's a leather topped material. It's a leather top material. You've seen it before if you watch this channel regularly. It literally, when you pull it from side to side, watch this. Watch this. See that? It's like rubber. It's like sewing a tire. It's like sewing a tire or an inner tube, basically. But it has that leather topping on it, and then it's got this stretch elasticy material on the back. It's a nightmare. I hate this stuff, but I love it because it really demonstrates how well a machine is performing. If you can sew this stuff, especially if you do multiple layers of it and you get no stitch distortion, you get no skip stitches, and you get no broken needles, that really is a testimony to how well that machine is running. So I'm going to do a couple of the cam generated stitches in this machine Matter of fact, I'll do the 3 stitches that are on the rear of the machine. Give me a second here. Making sure my computer is not going into some sort of an update. I kind of got nervous there for a second. So we're going to do the 3 stitches that are engineered into this machine. You obviously have a straight and a standard zigzag. You've got kind of a 3-point zigzag, and then you got the blind hem stitch as well. And I guess some could argue you have a standard zigzag as well. So technically, I guess you have 4 stitches that this machine can generate. And then you can have a huge variation of those stitches by changing stitch width and stitch length, obviously. Well, let's buzz down, and I'm going to probably do 2 layers of this. That'll be about the right. Yeah, if I try to do 3 layers, I think it's going to be a little bit too short of, well, maybe not. You see a straight zigzag, modified zigzag. I'm kind of debating. Maybe I'll do 3 layers instead of 4. Let me try that. Yeah, that's about right. See that? We'll do 3 layers of this stretchy, leathery stuff, and I'll try to fit all of the stitches that this machine has onto this material. And that's going to pretty much get us to the finish line, folks. It really is. So what's the last stitch that we sewed? It wasn't the blind hem stitch, right? Yeah, the blind hem. I'm going to shorten that stitch up just a little bit. We were at a stitch length of 4. I'm going to take us down to 3. And I'll leave the stitch width at 4. And when I go to the next stitch, I'm going to show you something, or at least I'll tell you something. And that is that when you are going to change the cam setting on this 19E Special, every time you're looking to change that little dial setting on the back of the machine, before you do that, you need to zero out the stitch width. It's similar on the other green machines where when you're moving that cam slider, and I've told you this in numerous premieres and videos, you always want to take that stitch width down to 0, move that slider, and then move it back to 4 again, or 3, or whatever you're going to set that stitch width at. Does that make sense? Did I say sense or sense? Whatever I said. Hopefully that makes sense. So each time you're going to change the cam setting, zero the stitch width down to 0. That's kind of redundant, isn't it? Take the stitch width down to 0, make your cam adjustment, and then move it back to 4. And always make sure, always make sure your needle is clear of the material when you're doing this. Okay? So I think our last one was a blind hem. We're going to go ahead and buzz down with that. I'll clip my threads. We'll jump right into the next sew off, the next sew off, the next sew off, and we're going to wrap this premiere up pretty quick. Remind me though, we need to pop over to Facebook. The folks that asked to see the progress shots, I need to show them progress shots. Okay? So here we go. I think it's a blind hem. Hope it's a blind hem. It might be a blind hem. Here we go. Yeah, that stuff really messes. I could actually feel that stuff sliding as the feed dogs were pulling it, and as the presser foot was pushing it, it was trying to mess around. Naughty material. Naughty material. Okay. Clip. And again, I'm not going to show you these right away. I'm going to just keep on plugging ahead, and then I'll show you the final results when we get to the finish line. So there's our blind hem. Get this into position. So what I'm doing off camera is I'm zeroing out the stitch width, taking it down to 0. My needle's clear of the material, and then I'm going to lean over the machine, and I'm going to take us from a blind hem up to, I believe it's that 3-point stitch. Pretty sure. I think it's a 3-point stitch. Okay, so I'm going to move my stitch width back to 4 because I was at 0, so I could move that cam setting. And now we're going to buzz down, and I think we got our 3-point stitch now. I'm pretty sure we do. We might. About 20%, likely. All right, here we go. Oh, let me get my take-up arm all the way up. There we go. All right, here we go. Oh no, this is our standard. This is our standard zigzag that I just did. All right. I'm glad I said 20% because otherwise that would have been bad if I'd said, I'm 100% sure, and then it wasn't. That'd be like, oh boy, that's bad. So this is our standard zigzag that we just did. And now the last cam setting on the back that I'm going to move us to is that 3-point that I am absolutely in love with. I love that stitch. All right, let me get my material back in place. And I'm off camera. You know what? Let me change my shot real quick, so you can kind of see visually what the heck I'm doing. Matter of fact, we can kind of do it like this. Yeah, we'll just kind of. I'm still going, folks. Don't. All right, we'll do it like this. Then you can kind of see what I'm doing on this last stitch off. Yeah, that'll work, I think. And then I'll get back up and zoom in on the stitches so you can see them. So what you do is, we're on 4 right now. We just laid down that standard zigzag. I'm going to take my stitch width. This is our stitch width right here, stitch length. I'm going to take it down to 0. And then I'm going to lean over the machine. And I'm going to change us to our 3-point modified zigzag. It's a lot of, that's really a long title, isn't it? And we'll go ahead and buzz down this material and lay down this 3-point modified zigzag. And then I think I'll put down a straight stitch next to it just to top it off, because I think I'll have just enough space left. All right, you ready? Of course you're ready. Take up arm all the way up, and here we go. Oh, you know what I did? Oh, you already know. I zeroed out the stitch width, and then I never moved it back to 4. So instead of doing a straight stitch last, I'm doing it now. Yeah, that works. Oh, and it's going to be a little bit shorter straight stitch, because remember we moved our stitch length up here. We moved it down to 3. That's fine. I'd love to say that that was absolutely planned. It wasn't, but that's okay. As long as I show you all the stitches. All right, so let's get that clipped over there. Get this clipped over here. All right, so at last, now we're going to lay down our 3-point stitch. Maybe. Okay, 40% sure. I'm 40% sure now we're going to lay down our 3-point modified zigzag. 40%, between 30 to 40%. All right, here we go. Wait a second here. There we go. All right. Keep your fingers crossed. You just never know, right? Oh, I should have gone with 50%. Yes. All right, let me clip these threads. All right, and to justify my error in not moving the stitch width back, I probably should lay down one more straight stitch next to that, because I told you that was going to be the last stitch. And I want to be a man of my word, you know what I mean? So I'm going to take it back to 0 on stitch width, and I'm going to increase our stitch length all the way to 4. And let's buzz down for our final stitch on this leathery, slippery, stretchy, crazy, why do you use this stuff, Scott material. Here we go. There we go. See that? We ended with a straight stitch, which is what my goal was in the first place. So if we wanted to go from where we're at right now we're on a standard straight stitch. Yeah, the camera angle's the same. if we wanted to go from a straight stitch back to that cam stitch that we did last, which was that 3-point stitch, all we would do is make one adjustment, and that is move this stitch width back to 4. And then after we sewed that, if we wanted to do another one of the cam stitches on the back, we would zero it out, make our adjustment on the rear of the machine, and then take us back to 4 again. Does that make sense? I think it does. Maybe it does. Okay, so let me do this. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in on this. This stuff is crazy. I'm trying to bend it, and it's like pop, pop. Ah! All right, I'm gonna wrestle it to the ground and hold it in place. Is what I'm gonna do. All right, let's zoom back in so you can look at these up close and personal. Yeah, it should be pretty good. I don't want to go too tight. Right about there, I think will do it. Okay, so we started with this blind hem on the top. See that? Let me go all the way to the side. We started with that blind hem on the top, and the row you can see just below it is that standard zigzag. All of those stitches are absolutely spot on. The spacing, the formation. I'm still going to comb in a little bit closer here. Yeah, I like that better. So the spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch is exactly as we want to see it on those 2 stitch rows. The blind hem on the top, the standard zigzag. Where am I? The standard zigzag on the bottom. Gorgeous stitching from start to finish. Where am? Oh, this stuff. You know what's happening? I'm holding it with one hand, and it's literally bending back. This is ridiculous. I'm going to hold it with 2 fingers. One on both sides, I should say. So there's our blind hem. There's our standard zigzag. That cannot get away from me right now because I'm holding it with that thumb. And I'm holding it, where's my other thumb? Somewhere on the bottom. Now we're going to move up a little bit, and we're going to look at that straight stitch and that 3-point stitch that I love so much. Actually, we can see all 3 of them at the same time. That'll save us a little bit of time. So we got the straight stitch I put down mistakenly in the middle there, our 3-point stitch, and then our larger straight stitch I put down intentionally on the end just because I wanted to finish up with a straight stitch. And all of them are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, exactly as we want to see it. Just picture perfect. And that is the full scope of the stitches that are available on this 19E special that you're seeing there. We started with the blind hem on top. We went to the standard zigzag. We went to the straight, mistakenly. We went to the 3-point, and then we went to the larger straight stitch. I guess technically 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 stitches basically is what we have at our disposal with this machine. So not as many stitch options as some of the other green machines, but that's okay. You only need so many stitch options. And those of you that have 19E specials already know that that's enough. So a definite pass. Oh, what am I doing? I'm losing my mind. I just turned it over so you could see the lock stitch, which is no different. I'm going to hold it up here. There's our blind hem on top. And our standard zigzag. I'm not talking right now because I'm trying to keep it orientated right, and apparently when I talk it's like walking and chewing gum for me. Now we're coming down to the straight stitch I laid down mistakenly, and also that 3-point stitch as well. Actually, we'll just look at all 3 of them. Absolutely gorgeous stitching. Got a little bit of a wrinkle there in my material, but that's okay. Just absolutely gorgeous stitching in every respect. So a definite pass. These again are the lock stitches through this stretchy leather covered material, and just an absolute victory on the part of this 19E Special. So I'm going to set that to the side as well, and probably what I'll do now is I'll just line these up. We'll come off the tripod, and you can have an opportunity to see the machine closer up and the rear of the machine, which then you'll be able to kind of see that. If you're not familiar with the 19 Special, you can see how that cam adjuster looks, and then we'll wrap this Premiere up. So, see the best way I can orientate this rubbery stuff, because it literally is trying to pucker up as I'm holding it in place. I think I'll put it right there. Put it closer to the pillar so it behaves, hopefully. That stuff is just awful. I love it, but it's awful, if that makes any sense. Okay, we'll line up this. I have that right? I can't tell if I have that the right way or not, the correct way. And our compressed felt. And our 3 layers of genuine cowhide. Stick that right next to the needle. Actually, I'll put it on the end because I want to see the full length of that. The needle's going to get in the way. Then our 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. And last but certainly not least, our single layer of elk hide. And also, I mentioned that you know, the seller that sold this to Cindy from Madison, Wisconsin, didn't really represent the machine accurately. You know, kind of left out some of the details, etc. She really wanted the extension bed, so as I already mentioned in the Premiere, I sourced an extension bed, so when this is shipped to her, she's going to have an extension bed she otherwise would not have had. But she also didn't have an instruction manual either, so I was able to source this original 19E Special instruction manual as well that you can see there to the side. So that's cool. I'm not in the parts business. I'll just say that up front. But for my customers that send machines in, if I can hook them up with getting them you know, a part that they need, getting them another accessory to the machine that they otherwise would not have, and I'm able to do it without compromising, you know, the integrity of my personal collection, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it absolutely without hesitation, because I want my customers to be taken care of. All right. So let me zoom. Wait, wrong way, Scott. Wrong way. Excuse me. So, first of all, looking at this 19E Special, actually, let me do it after I go over the sew-offs, because then I can move them and you can look at the extension bed as well, and blah, blah, blah. So let me do that. I'll move this instruction manual to the side over there, and we'll start with our genuine cowhide. So let me get in close on that first of all. Yeah, there, that works pretty good. So again, you've already seen these in the sew-off itself. 3 layers of genuine cowhide. And as we kind of move down these stitches, absolute perfection. Start to finish, just no difference at all. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm looking at my battery now, and it's like way down. I'm down to 1 bar, so I better go through these quicker than I was planning. And then our 8 layers of U.S. Army grade canvas. No difference. You've already seen the other side, so I'm not going to take time to flip these, plus I don't have the battery power to do it. Gorgeous stitching from start to finish. That was the one thing that Lori talked about yesterday when we were chatting about her machine needs, and she said, your stitches are just perfect. And that really is the goal. I want to get them as perfect as I possibly can. Now we're looking at our elk hide. Start to finish, that modified zigzag and the straight stitch. Exactly as they should be. Exactly as they should be. And now our compressed felt. Kind of sitting down now to get the right angle. Start to finish.
between the straight and the modified zigzag. Just no difference. Perfect stitching, formation, spacing, etc. And now we got this polyester blend stuff that's a little bit of a tricky material to sew. We did our blind hem stitch and our modified zigzag, and just from start to finish, I'm kind of going into the harp space right now so I can get the right angle. There's just no difference. Beautiful stitching from start to finish, just gorgeous. And then last but certainly not least, we've got this leather rubbery stuff that's just really tricky stuff to sew. But look at the stitching. I can actually have a wide enough angle here you can look at all of them at the same time. Folks, it doesn't get any better than that. It just doesn't. Those are absolute stitches to perfection on Cindy's 19E Special. Not to mention, I love this stuff when you sew multiple layers because you kind of create that puckery, quilted look in the middle. You can take something that's as basic as conformation sew-offs and actually make it look artistic, which for those of you that know me fairly well know I'm not artistic at all, so I really feel like that's an accomplishment. I might take the rest of the day off. No. So again, I better move around this machine fairly quick because I am down on battery power. And those are all the stitch offs we did, folks. You know, this genuine Cowhide, U.S. Army grade canvas, genuine elk, compressed felt, polyester cotton blend, and then this rubbery leather stuff. And Cindy's machine did not miss a beat once. Just absolute perfection. So let's go over here real quick. I'll go over this real quick. There's our special marking right there of special to signify that it's a 19E Special, along with the royal crest and the crown. This allows us to drop feed dogs. This is our stitch width again. And this little tab allows you to set stop points as far as making buttonholes with this machine as well if you want to do that. Our straight stitch, or excuse me, what am I doing? Our straight stitch. Our stitch length, and then our reverse button in the middle. This also needed a lot of work on Cindy's machine as well. Our needle position, and our upper tension, which was replaced for Cindy because hers, if you see it in the Facebook shots, was cracked up pretty bad. Okay, real quick, because I'm expecting this to die. If it does, then it dies. This is how you adjust presser foot pressure on a Husqvarna green machine like this. Isn't that cool? Look at that, Husqvarna, Sweden. Push it to the rear if you want to increase it. Push it to the front if you want to decrease it. If you want to do freehand embroidery darning type work, push this tab and it'll release all presser foot pressure. Okay? And this is our little cam adjustment on the back right here. See that? I'm kind of looking upside down here. So you can see right here, these are our different cam options on the rear of the machine, 1, 2, and 3. And again, as you want to change between any of these three, just zero out that stitch width, make your cam movement, and then bring that stitch width back to whatever setting between 1 to 4 that you want to have. Does that make sense? We made it. Oh, wait a second. I never went to Facebook. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. We're going to see if we can do this real quick. If the camera dies, I apologize to my friends that are afraid of bubbles. So I'm going to get rid of the bubbles real quick. Okay. So this is Cindy's machine, and I just had to do a wide variety of different things to it. Here, I'm trying to remember what I was doing. And yes, I'm holding the camera because I don't have time to put it back in the tripod or it's going to die. Here I was just doing some general evaluation and servicing on it, I believe. There's our really cool crest. Some of our controls, I've already gone over those with you. There's our broken upper tension that had to be replaced. I thought I might be able to repair it and fill that in, but it just wasn't going to look right, so I just replaced the whole unit. Here I've disassembled the upper tension, and it's just real deep cleaning. And I know a number of folks have contacted me about how to disassemble the upper tension for a Husqvarna. It's a little bit trickier than a Singer, so maybe eventually I'll do a video on that. There again is our presser foot adjustment.
some deep cleaning that I'm doing. And again, you'll notice that the serial number is on the inside of the faceplate. If you're a new owner of a Husqvarna, that's where you'll find it. Here again, doing some special oiling, the oiling points in the faceplate area. Again, detailed cleaning. Disassembling the free arm to get in there and clean and oil and lubricate the different things that need to be lubricated. Disassembling the hook system. These are out of order. Doggone it, these are out of order. These are after I've already done the work. Here what you're seeing is after I've gone through and applied a new coat of Teflon to Cindy's raceway mounting point for the hook. That's after it's been done. This is before it was done. See how it's all marred up and everything? And that's going to cause problems because the thread moves through there as you're creating stitches, and it can snag the thread and break the thread. Feed dog area, doing some detailed cleaning, getting all the junk and the dirt and the grime off. This is the inner mounting disc for the raceway area. You can kind of see it down to bare bones right there. And that's going to go and be mounted. And you have to get it aligned just perfectly or you will get some needle strikes because it'll throw the timing of the machine off. So be real careful if you decide to strip it down that far. There's the feed dogs, kind of in the process of getting them cleaned up. Also using a dental tool to break away some of the varnishing that's going to be on our mounting point. More cleaning. This is a chronic problem with the, and again, these are out of order. This is after I've already done the repair. This is actually where the thread comes over as it's going through the raceway. And see how it's almost perfectly even. This is how it looked before. So you can see before, after. Big difference, huh? And that'll make a big difference in the way your machine operates as well. Some of the pads that are built into the free arm area, that you do need to lubricate those because they will then wick off oil and continue to feed the lubrication to that machine as you're operating it. There's our raceway with our hook, broken upper tension. Just a side shot of the machine. And I think we came full circle. Yep, we did. Thank goodness. Because I'm starting to panic. I'm down to like half of a bar now. I don't know why it dropped so quick, because I thought I had charged it, but apparently I didn't. Well, Cindy, it's been an absolute pleasure to have this 19E special in the workshop and get it back to where it needs to be. It needed, as you know from our conversations, it needed a lot of, it needed repairs, it needed parts, it needed all kinds of TLC. And it is absolutely loving life now. Plus I've got your extension bed for you now, and I've got your original owner's manual that you wanted as well to go with the machine. And so you're good to go. You're gonna have a blast down in Indiana. And let's see, I guess I could take this off real quick just to show you how easy it is to take off. There's a little release right on the bottom of here. See that? That's on the front of the machine. Just kind of push it and then it releases it. And I'm not going to try to do this holding the camera, but you would just as easy slide it back into place and lock it into position again. But it's nice to be able to take it off like that, because then you can access that raceway area for changing out the bobbin or replacing the bobbin with more thread if you've had a real big project. So that's really cool. So this is a fabulous machine. If you're curious about a Husqvarna, and again, they're a very needy machine in getting them to run at an optimal level and to get them restored properly. I wouldn't just buy one anywhere. Seriously, I wouldn't. I have some in my personal collection that we could discuss if you want to look at getting one that's fully restored. Did I forget anything, Your Majesty? He said I forgot to move the stitch width. Yeah, we already covered that, sir. All right. All right, well, God bless. Stay tuned for other great videos like this.
Cindy, I know you're going to have a blast with this 19E special. And I hope all of you that have seen it are now in even greater wonder of why do they always talk on this channel about their love for Swedish beauties? Now you know. Take care, folks.